Hi, we're here again at SwamiLee's Sports Cars and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pensacola, New Jersey. We're here with SwamiLee's Sports Talk. Where's episode 2. I'm SwamiLee.
I am Mike.
And we're here to talk to you about various topics in sports. The first thing we have to do is we have to talk about something we spoke about last week in episode 1. And what was that?
That would be the World Series.
That's correct. If you remember last week, I predicted the Astros in 7, and Mike predicted...
I called the Dodgers in 6.
Now, Mike still thinks that the Dodgers have a chance. All power to him. Obviously, he's going to be wrong, which we're going to find out today. And the reason, but I'll let him have his say. So why do you think the Dodgers are going to win tonight?
Well, there are a number of reasons. One, their starting pitcher, Mr. Darvish, is going to bounce back from what was a rocky Game 3. I acknowledge that.
Understatement of understatements, but anyway.
The fact is, the Dodgers have one big advantage here. It's home field. The Astros are one of those teams, kind of like those '87 Twins, who are much better at home than they were on the road. Maybe not quite that drastic of a split. Lance McCullers, second time around, he won't be able to do to those Dodgers what he did during the start in Game 3. And you know what? The Dodgers have that team of destiny feeling.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, he's wrong. We all know that. We're going to find out later on. Darvish got shelled last week by the Astros. The Astros hit him pretty well. The Astros haven't hit anybody pretty well. So the fact they hit him well is a good sign. They've got all the players. They've got Correa. They've got Altuve. They've got Bregman. I mean, this team is going places, okay? Talk about team of destiny after the storm and J.J. Watt raising $1 zillion for Houston. I think it's time for the Astros to come in. They won 1 out of 2 in L.A. the first time. They won 2 out of 3 at home. Now they're going to win 1 out of 2 in L.A. the last round. L.A. goes nowhere. L.A. doesn't win. Magic Johnson does not get a ring. And everybody in the world is happy. I think that's the best way to put it.
Well, that's fine. It's wrong, but you're welcome to your opinion.
Well, we're going to find out. By the time this thing posts, we'll have known who the winner is. So I guess next week I'll be laughing at you.
If it pleases you to think that, Lee.
Hey, a wise man once said, whatever gets you through the night, okay? That's all I'm going to say to you.
Well, speaking of world championships, let's talk about your Steelers and my Eagles. Will your Steelers make it to the Super Bowl? Why or why not?
Well, the why not is easy enough. They have to play New England. That's the why not. But then again, if you remember, other teams can knock New England out. If you remember a bunch of years ago, the Ravens took out the Patriots, and they were, I think, 7 or 8 point underdogs, the Ravens. I actually had a 3-1 ticket in Vegas on the Ravens to win outright, figuring they couldn't win if I made that bet. Oh, well, anyway.
Was that the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl?
That was the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl. So the answer no is because New England, as usual, will knock them out. That's my concern. As to why they could win, did anybody see Juju this week? Did you see Juju this week? Juju is the man. Did you see Juju this week?
I saw the highlights.
Juju is the man. Let me tell you something, okay? Ward. Ugh. They're covering.
As you would say, it sucks getting old. Not
does.
that I would know.
Exactly not. Antonio Brown didn't do very well the first part of the game. So who comes through in the clutch? The first NFL player named Juju. The kid's a stud. Okay, he's going to win a lot of games for that team this year. Martavis Bryant, yeah, I know. Okay, he's pretty much done. I think they're going to trade him in the offseason. They're going to kind of keep him as number 5 behind Hayward Bay. I think Ben is going to be more of a game. He's not going to be an impact player anymore. Those days are done. Ben is no longer the impact player he used to be, but he's going to be a solid game manager. Okay, and that's going to lead the team to many wins on an easy schedule. I mean, they have the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. That should be at least 2 wins right there. Let's just be conservative and say they lose 1 game in the division. So now all of a sudden they're 8-3 with 5 other games to play. So they're going to win at least 11 games.
Well, you focused exclusively on their offense. What do you have to say about their defense?
Have you seen their defense?
I've seen their defense.
I know they gave up 468 yards against Detroit. They gave up no touchdowns. It's called a bend, don't break defense. It is not something that people are a favorite of. They don't want that to happen. You want to keep it down to 172 yards or something along those lines. But you know something? If you can keep your opponent out of the end zone, no matter how many yards, you're going to win games.
The 2000 Ravens taught us that. That's for sure.
I mean, they have some stallions on that defense, but they did make there were some bad plays. So that's why the Steelers are going to win, no doubt about it. Meanwhile, the Eagles...
will they go to the Super Bowl?
If they don't play New England, the Steelers go to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first.
The Eagles, well, let's leave aside the fact that they do have the best record in the NFC. Let's leave aside the fact that they have a bunch of really easy games left. Denver this week with Brock Osweiler starting. I think they're going to be 8-1 real soon.
Can't argue that.
Another game against the sickly Giants. A game against the Zekeless Cowboys. I feel good about that. Seattle's a tough place to play, but then again, they only gave up 38 points and 400 some yards to the Houston Texans this past weekend. So, I'd say Eagles will go to the Super Bowl. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders with the addition of Jay Ajayi. He's going to fit in seamlessly. He's going to help take a little bit of pressure off Carson Wentz. Halavudi Vaitai will improve. He'll play better at tackle. Wentz will be better protected. We're going to continue to see Nelson Aguilar grow. Jake Elliott will continue to be clutch. And with home field throughout the playoffs, the Eagles will get to this Super Bowl.
Well, right now, if we started right this exact second, I could not argue with you on that. They do need what I call a perfect world scenario because of their history of losing, that at some point in time, something's going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong. And that's the problem with the Eagles. You remember a couple years back, it was going to be the Steelers-Eagles, and then both teams choked in the playoffs? That's my concern.
I do remember that, but here are some other history lessons. It seemed like those Buccaneers were doomed to playoffs and then bust. What happened? Tony Dungy gone, John Gruden in, Super Bowl ring.
Well, hey, even the sun shines on a dog's butt, as they say. This year looks like could be the year. The NFC is weak. I mean, the Vikings are leading their division. The Vikings, think about that for a minute. With what's his quarterback?
A combination of Sam Bradford and Case Keenum.
Case Keenum, that's his name. I mean, Case Keenum is not going to win a playoff game. You heard it here first.
Well, you know what? If Rodgers had stayed healthy, then the Vikings aren't even leading the NFC North. So it's not a problem. As
dear old dad always says, Ball said the Queen, if I had him, I'd be king. On that note, we're going to break for a word from our sponsor, and we'll be back in just a couple seconds. SwamiLee's Sports Talk.
Stay with us.
Stop by SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles for a great selection of sports cards, sports collectibles, figures, die-cast, and more. On the 18th of November, we welcome Dickie Knowles of the Philadelphia Phillies with a free autograph signing, free photographs, and even free lunch. Stop by and see us 6 days a week, and definitely stop by on the 18th of November. SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, www.SwamiLeeCards.com. And we're back. SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road, SwamiLeeCards.com, and don't forget our Facebook page, SwamiLee's Sports Card and Collectible Outlet of Pensacola, New Jersey. Anyway, we're back, and we're going on to our next topic. Now, understand, Sonny, if you watch our last episode, you'll know that I don't know what the next topic is going to be. Now, remember, SwamiLee is a baseball guy, not a football guy, so if it's not as smooth as last time, you'll know why. So we're going to let Mike give us the next topic we're going to discuss. Go for it.
Well, Lee, a few minutes ago you said to me, have you seen their defense? Of course, as good as today's Steelers defense may be, we all know it can't hold a candle to the defense of the 70s. So tell us, who was the most important cog in that 1970s Steelers defensive machine, and why?
Well, that defense was amazing. Again, a lot of our viewers won't have watched the 70s Steelers. Outstanding from top to bottom. You had Jack Lambert, you had Mean Joe Green, you had Mel Blount, you had Jack Ham, you had Mike Wagner, who's not even a big name. But at the end of the day, I think Mean Joe would have to be. Remember, he was the first. He was the beginning of the resurgent Steelers. He was drafted, I think it was in 1970, and after the Steelers went 1-13, and they were hellaciously bad. Mean Joe was just amazing. And when Mean Joe retired, I almost cried. Who am I kidding? Of course I cried. It's Mean Joe. The jersey, the soda. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
I remember you as a kid, so yeah, he did cry.
I had a rough life. What can I tell you? But I'm dealing with it. We're moving on, and now we're discussing the Steelers. But seriously speaking, the Steelers of the 70s, that defense was amazing. Just watching them, every part of that defense was solid. They've got Hall of Famers everywhere. We didn't even mention Dwight White. We didn't even mention Ernie Fats Holmes. Okay.
And unlike the New York Yankees, all of those individuals got in the Hall of Fame on their own merit. But that's a discussion for another day.
I don't think you want to get me started on that one, okay? Believe me, don't want to get me started. Plus, there'll be riots in the streets if you insult the Yankees. But when you think about it, here's a question for you. Which of those Steelers from that era, who was the last one to retire? And when?
Good question.
I thought so.
I'm quite sure it was not one of the men you named. And
It was a big name. It was a big name. I'm not mentioning the third string safety, okay? It was a big name.
Well, a starter on that defense.
Without a doubt. And I think he's a Hall of Famer also.
And I'm going to think on that for a moment, but first I'm going to explain why Mean Joe Green was not the Reggie Jackson, not the straw that stirred the drink there.
Okay.
The Jacks, Hambert and Lamb, the linebacking core.
You mean Lambert and Ham?
I do.
Okay, just want to make sure we're the same guy. They may have gotten some other guys, one guy named Lambert, one guy named Hambert, one guy named Ham, one guy named Lamb. It's possible. Remember Johnny Lamb Jones?
I don't.
Well, unimportant. Anyway, move on. I'm sorry.
The linebacking core was what made that defense what it was. If you remember, back in the 70s, the NFL was a run league, not so much a pass league. And there were a lot of reasons for that, and we're not going to get into why the NFL is what it is now. But the fact is, back then, it was a run-first, run-heavy league, and without those linebackers who could not only rush the quarterback, but who were also hellacious run defenders, that's no Super Bowl team. The Jacks, Lambert and Ham, were the men who made that defense what it was more than anybody else.
But which one gave a jersey to some little kid in a Coke commercial?
Oh, well, listen, if advertising is the big deal, then obviously this Jay Ajayi character the Eagles picked up is going to be a big hit because it's all about the brand. Just like with Donald Trump, it's all about the brand. But that's style, not substance.
Much like SwamiLee sees all. And now SwamiLee says all. And
Well,
you know what? SwamiLee sells all also, in case you didn't know.
That's our plan.
Exactly.
So stop in and buy.
And what could you buy? Just out of curiosity, if you were a football fan, what could you buy, Mike?
Well, there are a number of things. Among them, you see this Carson Wentz Madden 18 figurine. He is the up-and-coming face of the NFL, the heir to the mantle of Brady and Rodgers and Breeze. And there's going to come a time when those men are out of the league, and first and foremost on the list will be Carson Wentz. And you want to get his merchandise now, because once Carson Wentz is the next Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
True, but what if you're a Phillies fan and not an Eagles fan? Then, my buddy. Yeah, I don't know who this is either. I picked this up a couple years ago. It was in a closeout store. I think it's Hunter Pence. It's really ugly. I mean, this is really, really, really ugly.
And that's why I think it's Pence, because his batting stance was really ugly.
Well, without getting too far into Hunter Pence right now, I had no problem with them trading him. But we'll get into that another day.
And if unnamed Blob Man doesn't interest you, I think I see some Ryan Howard, some Chase Utley, some Philly bobbleheads.
Roy Halladay's over there somewhere.
Brad Lidge.
Yeah, talk about one season, $60 million. But again, we're not going to go there. Any closing thoughts on the defense of the 70s?
Top to bottom, might have been the best I've ever seen. And the single biggest reason it was the best in our lifetimes, the linebacking core, specifically Jack and Jack.
I thought he was going to say steroids. Okay, we'll be back. We'll be back shortly after a message from our advertisers. Stop by SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles for a great selection of sports cards, sports collectibles, figures, die-cast, and more. On the 18th of November, we welcome Dickie Knowles of the Philadelphia Phillies with a free autograph signing, free photographs, and even free lunch. Stop by and see us 6 days a week, and definitely stop by on the 18th of November. SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, www.SwamiLeeCards.com. And we're back. SwamiLee's Sports Cards, 2673 Hanfield Road in Pensacola, New Jersey. We're here with SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm SwamiLee.
I'm Mike.
And we have another topic for you, another topic I know nothing about. So we're about to find out exactly what it is, because please remember, none of this is scripted. This isn't Pawn Stars. Okay, I don't need to frame it. I'm not going to give you 3 cents on the dollar for it. Okay, so let's see what Mike has to say.
Actually, my friend, it is a topic you know quite a lot about. The topic is heartbreak. In a few hours, there are going to be millions of heartbroken people, whether it's in Houston, as it will be, or LA, which is a lot less likely. So, in keeping with the whole heartbreak theme, what is the most heartbreaking moment that you ever saw in the NFL?
In the NFL, ooh, wish I had some time to think about this.
Well, while you think about it, let me share with you mine.
Well, first answer the trivia question.
Please.
Who was the last player to retire from the Steel Curtain?
Dwayne.
That would be incorrect. The answer was Mel Blount. Mel Blount was playing at least into 87, and it might have been even 88, but he played at least into 87.
Ah.
And I mean, a lot of those guys were done. I mean, Joe, I think, was done in 83 or 84. Lambert was done in 84 or 85. I know that. It's off the top of my head without doing actual research. In some shows, they'd have the information right here and talking to you about it. We don't do that, just so you know. So getting back to heartbreak.
The year was 2002. The last week of the season. The New Orleans Saints, a team who I really had no connection with, needed to win to make the playoffs. And late in the fourth quarter, they got the ball back just before the 2-minute warning, down by a touchdown and an extra point. They had a lot of trouble moving the ball. Aaron Brooks was the quarterback.
Aaron Brooks.
They had Deuce McAllister and Ricky Williams. But of course, down by a touchdown, the length of the field in front of you in about 2 minutes to play, it was time for passing. Passing got them nowhere. So when they had to go about 60 yards with about 8 seconds left, what did they do? The old hook and ladder play. For what felt like 40 or 50 seconds, they ran, they lateraled back, they ran, they lateraled back. And you know what? It worked. They got the touchdown. John Carney then missed the extra point, season over, hence the heartbreak. And I have to tell you, I felt bad for John Carney, who did receive death threats. I felt bad for the Saints fans.
Wait a minute. I got to call time out for a minute. I thought you said it was a Saints game, not an Eagles game. According to ESPN, only the Eagles fans do things like that. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. They booed Michael Irvin. They had a prison in the stadium. You're not gonna they egged Mitch Williams' house. They threw batteries at J.D. Drew. Are you telling me? Hang on, I'm supposed to believe that another franchise could have done something wrong, not just Philly?
Well, maybe it was that guy who threw the batteries at J.D. Drew, who was then trying to make other fan bases look bad just to take attention away from us. That could be it.
One guy threw 2 batteries at J.D. Drew, and they were little tiny batteries. That was it. That's all that happened in that J.D. Drew situation. By the way, that's a topic for another day, the whole J.D. Drew thing. So we'll get back to football. I do remember that play, though. And back then it was a 19-yard extra point. It wasn't the 33 yards you have now. So I got to give you that one. That's pretty good. Now, you know what? I know what the answer to this one is. It's perfect and does not even involve a single play in the NFL. Imagine you're in I think it was 1984 or 1985, and it's cold. It's wintertime. It's snowing on the ground even, okay? You go to sleep, and your football team, is your football team. They're kind of just, they're what they are. They're not that good, but they're yours. You've been following them for a zillion years. You go to sleep all nicey nice. You wake up in the morning not realizing that the Mayflower trucks had stopped by. They stopped by your stadium, took all your gear, they took your team name, they took your players, they took everything, and they relocated from Baltimore to Indianapolis. I think without a doubt that has to be the most heartbreaking thing. Other teams have lost their franchises, but they knew it was going to happen. I mean, the Mayflower trucks showed up, packed everything away, and the next thing they knew, they didn't have a football team anymore. Now, there's a story I got to share with you,
but let me tell you, I'm not sure I feel the same way. To use a very simple analogy, what's worse, just yanking the Band-Aid off like Bob Irsay did, or taking it off bit by bit like Al Lerner did to those Browns fans in '95 and '96?
The Browns fans probably didn't even miss their team. Okay, I know they had a history of all those years. They were a bad team. They've been a bad team for decades upon decades. They're a disgrace to the NFL. But you know what? I got to tell you Robert Irsay's story. I know we're running out of time. So I'm 18 years old. I'm at college. Right near the stadium, Memorial Stadium, there was a bar called the Stadium Lounge. Now, I'm 18 years old, but I got into the bar. We won't even get into that conversation. So we're at the bar. We're ordering our drinks. I get up and I go over to a door. And on the door, it says the Robert Irsay Room. So I'm curious. Remember, I don't have a lot of knowledge of what's going on around me. I don't know the city of Baltimore, its history, whatever. So I open the door, and it's the bathroom. It's been 30 years, and I still remember the Robert Irsay Room at the Stadium Lounge in the city of Baltimore, right near Memorial Stadium. Can you top that?
Probably not without making something up.
Well, another day we'll talk about the Philly Fanatic, but he's what he is. But the Oriole Bird, on the other hand, I got a story for you next time on the Oriole Bird. Anything else you want to tell us about heartbreak, Mike?
No, our love lives from our younger days are also stories for another day.
I wasn't even going there. I was not even going there. So we'll be back in a moment with a word from our sponsor. Stop by SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles for a great selection of sports cards, sports collectibles, figures, die-cast, and more. On the 18th of November, we welcome Dickie Knowles of the Philadelphia Phillies with a free autograph signing, free photographs, and even free lunch. Stop by and see us 6 days a week, and definitely stop by on the 18th of November. SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, www.SwamiLeeCards.com. And we're back. SwamiLee's Sports Talk at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike.
And we're winding down our show today. What we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple items that we like that are available for sale at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. We're going to start with Mike. Mike, tell us what you picked out today.
Well, Lee, in keeping with our Game 7 motif, I have here two starting lineup Wayne Gretzky's. You see one. holding the Stanley Cup as he did after the 1987 finals, which also went 7 games. Certainly that Game 7 of the 1987 Cup Finals was the single most exciting Game 7 of our lifetimes. My Philadelphia Flyers, who had suffered through some horrific injuries, battled through, and that was one of those series where you looked at it and you said, on paper, Edmonton in 4, Edmonton in 5, but then, folks, that's why you play the games. The Flyers went down 3-2. Game 6, which happened to be while SwamiLee and I were at our senior prom, not together, thankfully. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Our Flyers went and they won a hard-fought Game 6 to set up Game 7. And even though they were decimated by injuries, they were outgunned by the likes of Gretzky, Messier, Carey, Coffey, and Anderson. The Flyers went into the third period, tied at 1. It was anybody's game. And it remained anybody's game until about 2.5 or 3 minutes were left when Edmonton went up 2-1. The Flyers pulled Ron Hextall, who was so impressive that he won the MVP for the series, even though the Flyers lost. And Edmonton didn't seal it until the last minute when Glenn Anderson scored on the empty net, 3-1. But the fact that the Flyers took the greatest team in NHL history that far into Game 7 says a hell of a lot about my Flyers. And this goes to show you that SwamiLee is not just baseball, not just football. You can find a fine array of hockey and NBA memorabilia here too. Now, Lee, why don't you tell us what you've chosen for this week?
Well, Mike, I decided I'm still in the baseball mode, being more of a baseball guy, except when I'm watching the Steelers. But I picked up a couple items a few years back that I just love. One of them, this is a 1979 Topps baseball. It's called a wax grocery tray. There are 3 packs right in here of 1979 Topps packs, unopened. The original price tag, 49 cents. See right there, it says 20-cent packs, 3 of them. I guess you got a discount of 49 cents. Costs a heck of a lot more today, but I gotta tell you, this is one of the prettiest items that I have here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. Now, I also picked up a regular wax pack. This is the same pack that you'd buy for 25 cents at the Friendly Grocer over in Marlton back in our day. Okay, picked up quite a few of these. They are on sale if you want to try to get an Ozzie Smith rookie card. And lastly, this is called a cello pack. Notice there is Matt Keogh on the front, and on the back is Charlie Moore, one of my Brewers. Charlie Moore is on the back of this pack. You don't want to really open these, even though you could try to get those good cards, because they're worth more sealed. It's one of those, the pack itself, you know, it's a $20 pack of cards. But if you open it up, you're probably going to get a bunch of 10-cent cards. It holds value as a sealed item. I'm a big fan of the unopened product. I love my packs. I love my grocery tray. I love the cello packs. They're fun to look at. We do have various packs from different years, and of course all the new packs in also. But these bring back the memories of 1979 Topps, the Bump Wills error, the Ozzie Smith rookie card, the last Pete Rose as a red. So when you come to SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, even if you just want to look at how pretty these things are, please feel free to do so. And we're back at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles with SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm SwamiLee.
I'm Mike.
And we've talked about multiple items today, and we're going to go over those real quick. Mike, why don't you tell the folks what we talked about today?
Well, we started with a wrap-up of the World Series. We will see in 4 to 5 hours that while I did get the number of games wrong, I did pick the winner, and that while Lee got the number of games right at 7, he picked the wrong team.
Yeah, he can keep telling you that all he wants. You'll see. Big game out of Korea and Altuve today. Probably about 5 hits combined. Darvish doesn't make it out of the 5th inning.
So what you're saying is it's going to be an 18-inning game, and each of them will be 2 for 9.
That would only be 4. I said 5 hits, but that's okay. What else did we talk about?
Well, we made our Super Bowl picks, and you will recall that I did call the Eagles to get through that NFC And what did you say about your Steelers?
I actually didn't, actually. I said quite simply that if the Steelers do not play New England in the playoffs, the Steelers will get to the Super Bowl. And if they play New England, as always, they'll probably lose.
We also had a nice spirited discussion about the best Steelers teams in history, the 1970s Steelers with their steel curtain defense, and who were the main cogs in that defensive machine. I, of course, explained that it was the linebacking core, mainly Jack Ham and Jack Lambert, who could rush the passer and stuff the run like no other linebackers we've seen.
Don't you mean Jack Lamb and Jack Hambert? Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry. I thought that's what you meant. But that's okay. And Mike also learned who the last member of the Steel Curtain to play in the NFL was. For those who didn't know, it was Mel Blount. But you know, one thing we didn't talk about today, one thing we did not talk about today was our jerseys.
That's right, we did not.
Who you got?
Well, this is a 2007 Brent Selleck road jersey. Back then, he was the main tight end for the Eagles. Nowadays, he's the aging veteran, providing veteran leadership and support for Zach Ertz as Zach goes on to be perhaps the best tight end in the NFL, not named Gronkowski.
So you're telling me he's the Derek Jeter of the Eagles, because as we all know, Derek Jeter's leadership was more important than any other aspect of his game.
I don't know why you would say that, Lee, because I didn't call Selleck a statue, so how you could confuse him with Jeter is a little bit unclear.
That is true. Selleck was able to move to his right and his left, unlike Jeter. So you are right. And I got on I can't even say the greatest center in Steelers history, because the greatest center in Steelers history is the late, great Mike Webster. But the second greatest center in Steelers history was Dermontti Dawson. I know there's not many of you out there that have Dermontti Dawson jerseys. It is not my favorite. Another day I'll wear my favorite and tell you a story behind it. But many years ago, I picked up off the closeout rack about 9 different Steelers jerseys. Some of the oddest names, but also some of the best players. So I got Dermontti Dawson. He's got Brent Selleck, the Derek Jeter of the Eagles. What else do you have to say to us today, Mike, before we let these folks go?
Well, I've got a question for you.
Hit me.
I have 2 questions, actually.
Hit me.
About those 1979 packs that you showed us earlier.
Yes.
First off, I have to know, is there gum in there?
There is gum in there.
Kids, if you buy those packs, another reason not to buy them is that gum, even though it's vacuum sealed, has probably not survived well after 38 years. Question 2, would I be able to find a Dickie Knowles in any of those packs?
That's a great question. First of all, no, you would not be able to find a Dickie Knowles, because Dickie Knowles made his Major League debut, I believe, in 1980, or it could have even been the tail end of 79, but it was much later. Now, you may wonder, why did Mike ask that question about Dickie Knowles? Well, for those that don't know, Dickie Knowles, former 1980 Phillies world champion, will be here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pennsauken, New Jersey, signing free autographs, free inscriptions. Take your photo with Dickie Knowles for free, no charge whatsoever.
And we're even going to feed you.
At no charge to you. Mrs. Swami is going to have hot dogs and chips and pretzels and all kinds of fun stuff for you at no charge. You can meet a Phillies world champion. You can talk to a Phillies world champion. The date is Saturday, November 18th. Mr. Knowles will be here from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. SwamiLee's will be open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Get a chance to spend the day with a major leaguer for free, only at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. How does that sound?
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be seeing you again next week for episode 3 of SwamiLee's Sports Talk, when everybody knows that SwamiLee was right, and we'll watch Mike admit he was wrong about the World Series, Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. I'm SwamiLee.
I am Mike, who will have the correct team winning the World Series.
You can call him the Dreamer if you wish. And you'll see us both at the Dickie Knowles signing on Saturday, November 18th. We may even sign autographs ourselves. Folks, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay well and stay with us. Good night.
I'm ready to play.